You know, I think that the Minnesota filmmaking community is really still evolving. It's kind of going in ebbs and flows. At least that's what my colleagues in the field tell me, is that were some high times in the past and there's some low times, but that it's really a booming time. And I think that's really exciting. I think the internet has been a huge game changer. For me in particular, you know, if somebody could have told me that I could put a film on the internet and have thousands, in some cases millions of people view it, even 10 years ago, I wouldn't have believed them. And so I think that the internet has really opened a lot of doors for filmmakers in Minnesota and really across the world.
There's a certain number of individuals that I will always work with. If they're available, I always want them on set because I trust them and I respect them. And I know if they say they're going to do something, they're going to do it. But it's also very important to be aware of what else is happening in the community, because I feel a lot of other filmmakers can get pigeonholed to using the exact same people, especially the exact same actors a lot, when if they bring in fresh blood, those individuals can challenge them. And I think the only way to do that is, as a filmmaker, to be aware of what else is happening. That's going to screenings, that's going to film festivals, that's seeing what's in the MNTV program, seeing who else is out there taking risks, doing well, and then finding who are those people that I want to work with. Because I think, like, hopefully a lot of other filmmakers, I have a list of actors, a list of DPs, all individuals that I'd love to work with someday. It's just a matter of finding the right project and not forcing the issue too much.
I think a good producer really has a lot of long talks with the director and what their vision is, and you know, you're almost trying to be their wingman, really, and know as much as you need to know so you can make some calls for them so they can focus on, you know, the precision of getting the performances and the shots and all that stuff, and also having those conversations so we're prepared and storyboarded and ready to roll, and allowing time on the set for spontaneity to happen.
With 6/8, it was different because it was all coming from my soul, and so I knew everything that was going to go into it, and I was able to just like decide how I wanted to display it visually. But generally, I make a huge mess of material and then have to sift through it for hours and hours and hours.
There was one interview actually we did that kind of inspired me, and there was a woman named Pastor Alika who says some of the best things in the whole movie, and she runs a women's shelter for women leaving sex trafficking in North Minneapolis, right? Yeah, North Minneapolis. And she just, I finished the interview in tears, and she was in tears, and we cried, and she just said the most beautiful things about how she would come to the church that she worked at, and she would see women sitting on the steps, and they would need the most simple things. They had nowhere to go, and they had no one to help them, and she just was so gentle with them.
We've had a really, really great festival run, and we actually were also picked up by the Pentagon Channel. So we're shown in 34 million American homes, as well as on every U.S. military base worldwide. There are references. She's a World War II widow. So there's been a lot of response. I was really surprised, not just from older population, but also younger women expressing how this really opens up a lot of thoughts and issues that they have, and really a great ground for further conversation about the role of women in today's society and as we age, and what that really means.
I was a journalist by trade, and I worked as a print journalist for a few years, and in 2007 I was lucky enough to get a job at the University of Minnesota working on web content. And I met another former journalist there in the broadcast area, and we teamed up and started producing videos together at the U of M. I did that for 5 years, and it was a great experience because we got to work on over 120 different projects. One of them was about the science of comic books, and that was honestly the thing that really changed my life, because it combined my interest in sort of nerd culture with science and technology, and so that was what kind of propelled me into documentary. And so ever since, I've been really focused on writing and working on projects that sort of bring out that combination of science and entertainment and nerdiness, and it's a good time.
I had never thought about going to Prague for any reason, and I was doing a search for film schools, and it came up and looked interesting, so I took it. It was really difficult in the Czech Republic because, especially making documentaries, we had, in school, we had a very short time frame to get to know people and to like make a connection that was deep enough to say anything about anything.
One of the crazy things about shooting City Boots was that we were shooting in January 12th, which is a Saturday, and we arrived before the sun was up, and we were there till the sun was down. And we, again, knew it was going to be cold, but we had no idea how cold it was going to be. And I very vividly remember showing up, being there at about 5:30 in the morning and looking out into sort of the horse pasture, and it was pitch black, and this wind was just hitting me like a wall. And I knew that Kirsty, our lead actor, and her mom were out there gathering up horses. And I couldn't see more than 10 feet in front of me. And I remember standing there thinking to myself, if you stepped outside in this kind of weather, you'd immediately go back in, or you'd rush to your car because you're freaking out because it's so cold. Yet I knew we had to be out there the whole day. And there was maybe a half second of like a panic, or what are we going to do? But it quickly went away because we were there to make a movie.
Telling our stories changes us as a community. Telling our stories opens up our abilities to help and connect each other and to make that world that we want in our heads. So what we find is that a lot of girls, some of our girls are going specifically to study filmmaking, but most of our girls have been drawn to social issues and use filmmaking as part of the tools that they use.
We're working on a short narrative film. It's called The Sandbox, and it's told through the eyes of a 10-year-old boy. So it's his vision, his journey of when his dad returns from Iraq and he is a changed man. So it's really looking at a segment of the population similar to Looking Past You. I like to look at populations that are typically dismissed or ignored in our society, and the children of the military are really not addressed as often or as much as I believe that they should be, and the issues that they face as well. So that's a story. It is a narrative. We've got some named talent on board, and I can't say who.
Right now I'm working on I'm sort of in pre-production for a documentary about shark fishing in North Carolina, and I've got a couple of narrative projects that I'm thinking about.
I want to take what TV has done and change that and teach people what's really going on. So now I want to go into public health education. And I want to be able to teach young people that what they see in the media is not what's true, and that, you know, what sex trafficking is and how relationships work, and just let them know that there are bad things out there, but there are ways to prevent it.